Good morning, everybody. We are live. It is a holiday weekend, Memorial weekend. So we are live here. Me and Josh. JC had to leave to go back to Japan because he had to take care of some family things over in Japan. He found out he has twins now. So, when you come back with twins, right? So how's everybody doing this morning? It is a great morning. We are here. Josh is having fun with trying to figure out his computer this morning. I'm having fun with a long night of every animal waking me up, and so I'm crabby supposedly. So we are going to go with that. But my question to you, Josh, is which do you like better, commercial or residential? It's one of those things like customer wise, which do you like dealing with better?
That's tough. I prefer the commercial because it's consistent. They want it done. They're under, I feel like more of a legal contract.
Right.
So you know that work is usually always there. The residential, usually you have the ability to be a little bit more creative on the property, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's mowing or hardscaping. The profit margins are a little juicier. It's funny because someone asked me that about snow a week ago and asked me, what I liked more, whether it was residential or commercial. Obviously, my commercial is because it's consistent income throughout those months where you can't mow or hardscape. But the residential, if you knew that you had guaranteed snow every month, I love the margin on residential snow. It's huge. It's huge. It's a huge markup. It's hard to say which one I prefer more. I don't know. I'd say because like financially, the commercial because the money's there. It's a lower margin, but it's always there. But as far as creativity, I like the residential.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, do you feel like when it comes to commercial, it's a little longer pay period, but even though you get some good money out of it, it's a longer pay schedule and all that. So I
It
feel like
is. So it's more consistency. Like I have contracts, landscape and snow that are broken up into 12 months, 10 months, 5 months. So they're all structured different. But it is nice to know that, 10 months out of the year, you get some guaranteed income. And then you have 5 of those months where, you're bankrolling, it's coming in really
right,
good and you're able to, you make your purchases or catch up on some of your payments or whatnot or put away for a rainy day. So
yeah,
it's nice with that. The residential on the snow and mow side, obviously, I feel like we're kind of in a weird place with the economy right now, where at least for me, I've seen a lot of people scaling back on their projects and their maintenance of what they've done. We've seen a lot of people handling projects themselves, and I mean, this is something as simple as mulch. So, um, it's definitely it's touch and go with all of it.
right, right. So do you feel us as a green industry guys? Do you feel like that it is us changing the whole area changing, like customer base changing and stuff? I mean, I feel like in our area we're getting more landscaping. Like you said, you're seeing a flux of people kind of holding back on stuff and looking at different ways to save money. In our area, I feel like they're wanting to spend the money on certain things. So, do you feel it's just by area, or do you feel like it's a flux that's going to be a common, like starting from your area down to ours?
I think I think it definitely starts. I think it definitely starts with our areas. So areas like Boston, New York, L.A., where the cost of living is much higher, that
Right.
things really start affecting people. I mean, obviously, the property values and the rents are sky high compared to you guys in the Midwest or down south. But I think it starts here and trickles its way down. Now, I'm not going to say that every company is slow or is slowed down, but this is probably my slowest year since I've started my business.
Wow.
Um, and a lot of people are price shopping, and at the same time, we've talked about this hundreds of times on this podcast, where we're back to pre-COVID times. But you have to remember, from you know February, March of 2000 on. it was kind of just a cakewalk. Especially me, I didn't have to put really any money into advertising. The work was there. Now things are getting more competitive. There's zero restrictions for travel with COVID now. Vaccines aren't required. When's the last time you had to pull that vaccine card out for anything? You used to have to pull it out to go to the grocery store, So I think a lot of people now, where those restrictions worldwide are lifted, a lot more people are traveling now and putting that money. They were putting 10, 20,000 into their home. So they're done with the home renovations for right now. And they're focused on traveling. There's definitely a lot more shoppers. I'm not going to say tire kickers. I was going to say there's more people shopping. And I tend to think that business owners will sometimes cut those prices down in order to get the job because they start getting nervous where they're not closing 90% of the jobs, but you're not supposed to be doing. You typically close 5, 10, 20% of the jobs, the bids you put out is typically what you close. That's why your margins have to be on the up and up for you to produce and make money. So I think it is going to be a trickle-down effect. I mean, it's an election year. That usually says a lot for construction. So us on the development side, I've gotten bids, but they've been very slow to come in. I'm still waiting, a couple months out for approvals and denials on some development bids, new construction. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's June now, so hopefully it's not the tell-all for the rest of the year.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of commercial stuff as it goes, it's not always right away like a residential. Residential wants to get the stuff done, so they're looking for that estimate right away, and they want to get 1, 2, 3 estimates as soon as they can, and then they want to make a decision because they want to hurry up and get that job done. I feel like commercial, you sometimes have to wait 6, 7 months to get to that job, but once you get it, you're kind of locked in there and golden, correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, we put I put a bid in the end of March for a contract with the city of Boston, and the contract starts a week and a half from tomorrow.
Okay.
And they still haven't released anything. So that's kind of shitty. So now, and in order to get that contract going, I have to pivot. I have to add some more equipment. I might have to add some more personnel. So, that's kind of last minute, and that's unusual. Usually you get those, it's usually lowest bidder or more practical bidder gets the win.
Right. Do you feel that there's by putting your stuff out there and letting them know like your experience and all that stuff, when it comes to commercial, do you feel like that puts you in a good position, or is it just more of like who's the lowest bidder, who's got the better,
1 second.
Yeah. He's always all over the place. Guys, he loves to play around with his dog, and now he lost his lights. There we go.
Oh, I'm gonna go put the dog in. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
All right. So I feel like sometimes doing the commercial, it's a lot easier, but they're always looking for the lowest bidder. And when Josh comes back, we'll ask him about that. I'm assuming he feels the same way. But yeah, I feel like sometimes it is what it is, and you're out there trying to make do with what you can. Both residential and commercial do have benefits to them. I mean, a lot of people say they love residential all the time, and there is a higher profit margin sometimes on that stuff compared to residential. So Josh,
sorry,
you got back. Now that you're back, okay. So I was saying, do you feel? I don't know what the hell I was saying. Who knows?
I heard you. I have my earbuds in. So
Okay.
Do I think with commercial, do they go with the lowest bidder or best quality? I think it depends on the property management you go to.
Okay.
Obviously, for the majority, lowest bidder gets the win. Municipal bids, it's the lowest bidder. Not necessarily quality. They're just going off budgets from the year prior. So they're going lowest bidder. Commercial, I've dealt with companies that have gone lowest bidder. I've dealt with companies that have actually done background checks and reference checks and have gone with best quality and best price. So, when you bid in commercial, you don't want to do your whole, I'm top dollar, I get what I pay for it. They're looking for good service with a reasonable price. So I think a lot of times when you put these bids in, and maybe some vets will disagree with me, but a little something about yourself or your company, just a quick write up of why you would be the best, the better choice between 3 to 6 other companies that are bidding on that job. Sometimes helps. It's a little personal touch to it, and lets them know who you are. But at the end of the day, obviously, if you have 3 guys that have been, $20,000 on a mowing contract, and then you come in at 100,000, they're not even going to double look at you. They're not going to take a second look. So you have to make sure that you're being competitive with the pricing. Again, same things on the commercial side. Difference with the commercial side, your margins are typically a little wider when it comes to residential. The commercial side of it, if you're efficient, you have to make sure you have some good SOP systems and processes in place, and you can make money. There is money in it. There's money on the residential side, but you got to make sure, same thing, you're efficient. You got a little bit more room for error on the residential side than you do with the commercial. So,
okay. So when you're doing that, do you think everybody should be putting out like a letter saying a little bit about their company, even residential and commercial?
You can. I mean, again,
I
think I brought it up here.
Why not put a little write-up up?
A little paragraph with your bid. Some people might be like, "Oh, that's stupid." You speak for yourself. But if your company's not known, and maybe you're $2,000 to $5,000 more expensive, but there's a reason for that. Maybe it goes into, you tell a little bit about how your guys are trained, and you send your guys out to train, and they take, your staff takes business courses and management courses of the technology you use. Places like Outdoor Pride and North Point and JC Grounds out here, which are medium to large size commercial maintenance and snow companies, like they're known, but at some point they had to sell themselves as to why they're going to get the dollar value they're going to get. And whether that's the training they invest in, or the equipment they invest in, or the technology, you want your potential clients to know where that money's going, especially if they're going to sign, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollar contracts with you guys for multiple years. You want to make sure that they're comfortable, and they're, I hate the phrase chucking a truck, but that you want to make sure they're not getting chucked in the truck to do a 58-acre site.
Have you seen, okay, let's say, I know you probably have in the past doing some of the commercial. Have you ever bid on a commercial and then seen a company that you've never seen before doing it and found out that they've done it for less than half of what you had bid?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, with the municipal contract, so we bid a lot with the main cities out here, City of Lowell, City of Boston, City of Worcester, City of Cambridge. And for a lot of those, you can see the end result. And, I think I'm fairly competitive when it comes to the maintenance bids with the municipal stuff. And, I was beat out by a company that bid almost half than what I did. And I have no idea how they're going to do it. These were for baseball fields in the city. And I have no idea how they're going to do it. Kudos to them. Right. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I can't match those numbers. I can't work for free.
Right. And I think knowing your numbers in the first place and trying to stick with those numbers, even though that sometimes you might want that contract, you got to keep your numbers where they need to be at. And yeah. I mean, if you know your total bottom line and you know how much it's going to cost you per guy, especially when you're bidding on commercial accounts and even residential is make sure you know every little bit. Just because you might need that job or you want that job, I think sometimes if you're going ahead and making it lower to try to get that job in the long run, it's not going to benefit you in the long run, I feel.
No, and getting work just to stay busy and not making money isn't necessarily a good business plan. Like you said, I think a lot of people will submit a lower bid almost for like bragging rights, like I have a large commercial property. But you got to realize sometimes you bid low on these commercial campuses or commercial storefronts, and you're out there a lot longer than you think you would be. When you first look at it, because I remember in the beginning I did it and I wasn't trying to low bid, I was trying to be competitive, and I essentially won the bid because my overhead was much lower at the time. I didn't have a shop, I didn't have a yard, I didn't have employees like that. And when I went in there, it was taking up at least like 30% of my time for this one property that was marginal. And I learned my lesson from that.
Right.
And I fulfilled the contract, but I didn't lose money, but I could have made a lot more money doing a handful of residential properties at the same time.
Right.
So you definitely have to sit back. And I know that it's overplayed. People think know your numbers, but seriously, know your numbers. Like, I feel like you should be checking your numbers at least once a quarter to see where you are and make sure you're being profitable. Like, we're starting. I don't know if we talked in the group chat, but I'm in the process of developing a retail mulch company. My target demographic is residential. Direct to the homeowner, not so much contractor. But even with that, with each sale, we're timing how long it takes to load with the skid steer, a 1 yard bucket on a mini loader, a 2 yard bucket on a loader, the drive time, and we're trying to really dumb down our numbers. So next year when we develop this company and we structure it, we know exactly how we're going to do it, what we're going to charge, where we're profitable, the areas we're going to cut off for delivery, who's getting what for delivery charges, and really dissect it and make sure that we're going to make some money.
I think that's the best way to do it is there's so many CRMs that can help you figure this out. If you don't have a CRM, that's cool. But like you said, dialing down and knowing exactly how long it is, even if you write it down, put it in your phone somewhere, put it in a drive, put it somewhere down that what down to the minute, what it's going to take and how long it's going to take you, like driving time, like for you driving and delivering might take, 30 minutes one day, but the next day might take you 15 minutes. So, but knowing that 30 minutes could be in that play, it helps you figure out like, okay, well, this delivery might cost me $55. So I'm going to tell you $55 because it cost me more time and gas to get there and drop it off and come back, and I think that helps you guys out to figuring out your numbers and making sure that you're totally correct for the next season.
And it's funny you mentioned that, like one day you can deliver it's 15 and the next day it's 30 minutes. So before coming into, the green landscape industry, I was in automotive, and with automotive, we had all data, and all data was basically, it was kind of like the testament to labor times. And you would look up and say, okay, a brake job on this, 1997 Chevy 1500 is 2 hours, so that job takes you 2 hours. So if you do it less than 2 hours, you're more profitable. But they also didn't tell you if you're in the Rust Belt in New England and maybe you got to take a caliper off, those bolts could be rusted, it takes you 2.5. I think it would be great in the landscape industry to have something like that. But ideally, you see a lot of people asking, how long does it take to plow an acre? How long does it take to mow an acre? How long does it take to lay pavers? Now, ICPI does kind of have a format like that where it's 200 square feet per guy per day for laying, screeding, and laying pavers and cutting. Those are bases. Those are just like slight numbers to go by. But again, you can create your own production rates based off of your time. I think as an owner of a company, when you're a solo owner, obviously no one's really going to work as hard as you. You might have people working a little bit better than you, but as far as efficiency and getting it done, at the end of the day, it's your ass on the line. Time yourself and come up with those production rates. There's production rates for mulch, there's production rates for CMUs. Going into the new construction side of things, I started learning that a lot with the production rates. But if you time yourself and say, okay, it takes me 15 minutes with the size mower I have to mow an acre with no weed whacking or anything, exactly, okay, I figured out that it costs me $90 an hour to run my company. This lawn takes 45 minutes to mow a weed whack. Maybe I'll get in there for $50 and we're in it out. So that's how you actually know what you're going to be able to charge, is time yourself. Listen, everybody's got a fucking smartphone. If not, you got to watch. If not, go to Walmart and get a stopwatch and literally hit the timing. We legit, in the skid steer buckets with the half-yard buckets, we were loading 25 yards the other day, because we just want to see where we're at. What's the most efficient? In my head, I know what the most efficient is. It's the loader. But sometimes those loaders are out and we're not, or they're down and we're not able to use them to load or anything like that. So I want to know each piece of equipment, how long it's going to take us to load, which ways to pivot, how many turns we go. And we took the iPhones and we just hit the timer, the lap timer, and put them down and watch it. As soon as you're done and you're out of that skid steer, you hit it. So I think we came down. It was something like a minute a load, a minute for every 2 buckets.
Okay.
Back and forth is what it came to. So obviously the skid steer is not the most efficient way to do it.
Right.
It's great for a quick 5-yarder, but when we're loading up 7, 10, 20 yards, it's got to go to a loader. That's common sense, but just to give you an example.
Right. And I think a lot of the guys, like I said before, like we use Jobber. And one of the things that we use Jobber for us is the timing. I mean, we can time out every stop, every job that we're doing and know down to the minute what it's going to take. And for us, for mowing, we did that all last year, and it kind of helped us figure out like exactly how much to up people for this season, and saying, okay, well, this one might have took, an hour in the spring, but in the fall, it's taken like 10, 15 minutes. So we averaged out the time for the whole year on our cuts, and then that gave us and saying, okay, do we need to up this guy? Do we need to keep him where he's at? Do we need to really up him or what? So I think, like you said, timing out everything that you can. If you don't have a program, you have your phones. Like you said, use your phone, get a stopwatch, somehow figure out how to time that out. Like it's not rocket science. Look at your phone and say, okay, well, it's 10:15 right now. Let's see how long before I'm done with this job and load up. Count in that time too for loading and unloading, because some people I feel like don't count in that time for loading and unloading. They say, okay, well, I cut this yard, I'm done, I got to load it up. Okay, you still have to load up. It might take you 2 minutes to load everything up. Count that in there, because that adds up. Every little minute adds up.
Yep. And then, like, again, like some simplified way at the end of the year, money in, money out. So you look at how much money you build out. And this is the very simple way for guys that maybe have a hard time putting, the verbiage together with the numbers. Look, the amount of money you made versus the amount of money you spent on payroll, right? I'm not talking about cost of goods or anything like that. I'm not talking about your insurance. Money in, money out, and look at what your margin is there, and then you back out. So if you made $500,000, but your payroll was $300,000 for you and another guy, you break that up versus how many customers you had. Then you add in all your others. So your rent, your insurances, your gas, you break that down. And that gives you kind of a ballpark of where you are to see, okay, shit, I only made 10% profit this year. But is that after your salary? Like you got to make sure that you factor those numbers in. And that's just a simple way. Money in, money out. How much you spent versus how much you actually made at the end of the year. Take all that stuff away. And then you can start dissecting. That usually gets guys kind of in a generalization of like, wow, there's a lot of money there. And then you break it down, you realize, wow, there really wasn't a lot of money there.
Right. I got a question for you. Okay. So I run a shop. I have my own shop on my own property. Do I pay for rent to my business, or should I? I hear a lot of companies that buy, and I think like a lot of guys have, run it out of their garage at their house and stuff. And I feel like you should charge for that usage of the garage, because you're using your own garage compared to renting a shop.
I absolutely think you should. Again, you lessen the liability. Your structure is a LLC or a co-op.
Right.
So again, you're a pass-through entity. So at the end of the year, you're taxed on the profits of the company. So you want to filter that down as much as possible. You lessen the tax liability to the company. I don't know what the rules are. Obviously, Ohio is to the percentage you can use. I know at my house. I have mom's attic up there that I actually use as a partial office space. Now, I can't write off the entire house, but I can write off a certain amount of square footage. My accountant does all that shit. I don't do that myself, but I write off a certain amount of square footage for the attic space that I use for the office. My shop is 100. My yard space is 100% write off. That's just going in. But I would definitely, if I owned the yard space at my home, and I could keep my equipment there, I would definitely rent it out to myself. I have a piece of equipment that I have an LLC for an equipment company that I rent to my company, just because I finance the piece of equipment, so I can't actually write off the note every month, but I lease it to my Carbon Green landscaping business, and I can write off that lease payment every month. So it washes out a little bit. I can write off the interest as the
Right.
principal holder for the equipment company, and then write the lease off to the company. So it just lessens it, and then we'll flip out. But same thing with the mulch company. I'm deciding if I create a separate entity and sell the mulch to my landscape company. We're looking more or less marketing purposes for creating another entity or an umbrella company, and I probably would sell and invoice my landscape company at the same time. So
yeah, I don't see where there's an issue with that. I think that's it all works out together. It kind of saves you, some tax money and all of this at the end of the year, but it all washes out together at the same way. So I think it's in a way it helps out all the way around. So
at the end of the day, again, I know a lot of guys will go on Facebook and ask questions like that, but they would reach out to an accountant or CPA. They're going to know better. You know what I mean? Or go get a library card and go to a library and pick up an accounting book. But your best bet is to just pay the hour minimum to an accountant and ask the questions and get them on the phone. That's someone that doesn't. That's someone that doesn't prefer. You're not going to go ask your neighbor about fertilizing your lawn. You got to ask the guy that's licensed and does it professionally to get the accurate advice you need.
True. And, definitely, be fertilized. If you're going to do fertilizer, make sure you're licensed. I mean, that's all I got to say on that one. I mean, don't go out there and just sell it to a customer that if you're not licensed, I see so many guys that are doing that, and
I used to do that.
I never have, so I guess I'm the one that hasn't.
I stopped because of the liability in it, because I wasn't licensed. I was insured for it because I did have a sub company, and I started doing it myself, but I started learning. I'm like, I don't know nothing about this shit. I'm just throwing it down and doing what the bag says. So I backed away from it. So there wasn't a liability issue there. Just subbed it out. Now I don't even touch it. I just tell them to Google a fertilizer company.
Right. I mean, I think there's pluses to it and there's pluses against it,
Yeah.
I mean, you can start doing it yourself and take the risk, but I know in Ohio, the risk is the first time I think is like $5,000 fine, and then $10,000 or $25,000 I think is the second time, and then jail for 3 years. It's so if you're gonna do it in Ohio, you might as well just go get the license. Take the time, take the test. It's not worth that $5,000 fine.
It's like, yo, what are you in for?
Yeah,
I put some weed and feed down.
Right. And you got caught 3 times. So
yeah.
So I think there's always things, and I feel like especially in certain states, I've heard like certain ways of certain things should be licensed and you should be certified and all that other state stuff. And I think there's a lot of things I think that you should be certified in, and that that help benefits your company if you're certified in it. And so I am licensed, so I think you definitely go ahead and get whatever you need to be to do that. So. But so how is the malt selling going so far? Is it is it good? Is you selling out on mulch or?
We sold out our last trailer load. I gotta be honest with you, I don't have a website up for anything advertising it. I just been throwing it up on the company Facebook and Instagram, and then on my own Facebook, I just been throwing up marketplace ads, like Batman black mulch, for $58 a yard. And I've gotten, a bunch of inquiries. I think we're pending like 60 yards worth of deliveries next week, which doesn't sound like a lot but for a company that just started doing retail mulch a week ago, it's not too bad,
Right.
And, like the whole idea came from, we started bringing in bulk mulch from suppliers out of New Hampshire. And obviously you get it at a better rate, but we didn't want to end up, because our mulch bins are also the salt bins, which we asphalt over in the winter, but we didn't want to end up with excess mulch come the fall and had nothing to do with it. So we're like, all right, most of our commercial properties are done, so we have 50 yards left over. What are we going to do? So I said, all right, let's just try to retail it. And I've always wanted to have some sort of product to sell. I never thought it would be mulch, but we'll see. I'm investing the time into doing my homework on that industry, and there's not a lot from where we're based out of in Andover, Mass, down to like Boston, Mass, of people that actually can supply and deliver the mulch to retail customers, because we have locations in Somerville and Cambridge, Mass, where we tried to get small loads delivered and we couldn't, or it was like a week wait. So we'll probably build the infrastructure going through the rest of this year and the winter, and probably bring in some more equipment and really just go at it. I think we're gonna focus on aged hemlock, black, and hemlock. Might bring in some loam, but we're gonna focus on those three. My wife's over here doing a jig for me. We'll focus on the three different types of mulch to start, and a small delivery area.
Okay. So here's a question to you, because a lot of places that we get our mulch from here, there's so many places. They changed the name of the color. Did you change the name of the color to Batman Black, or was that the color?
I changed it to Batman Black. Okay. And all it is, it's just to catch the name. People use Midnight Black, Forest Black. I thought about, I'm just, it's just an ad, like my wife will probably do a lot with the mulch company, and we'll come up with some creative names that kind of stick out when you're looking at it, because, obviously if you just go on black mulch, you want something that pops,
Right.
And it'll catch the eye. And I think that's what happened on Marketplace. I think that you put the Batman Black and they see the mulch and they do a double look, and they see it and they see the price, and you get a lot of inquiries on it. So
how are you priced compared to other companies?
I don't know, man. They're all over the place, dude. I mean, so for black, we're 50 a yard, delivered locally, which is in our town. And then, the delivery charge goes up. It's a 3-yard minimum to order in. Hemlock, we are at 62. Aged hemlock, I'm not stocking yet. Aged hemlock will probably be same thing, go 62. Usually the hemlock and the aged hemlock a little bit more. I price based off a distributor that I use locally. I try to keep it neck and neck with him so that I'm not competing with him in that aspect. But by looking at Marketplace, man, the prices just Eastern Mass are all over the place. Some guys at 35, some guys at 65. I think it all depends. But I think I'm price fair. I mean, I've sold quite a bit so far that people are going after it.
That's awesome.
It's that Batman Black.
Yeah, Batman Black. Who's gonna go after that? I mean, I've heard a lot of different black colors, but Batman Black definitely is.
That's what I mean. So you've never heard of Batman Black, but you see it on Marketplace, and it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah. So JC's on in Japan, and he says he wants to ask you a question. He goes, I want a yes or no answer. He goes, are you going to Equip Expo this year? He wants to know. Uh-oh. Josh froze. Oh, his thing froze. Josh. Did you hear
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. Did you hear my question?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay, JC, he's in Japan answering a question. He goes, he wants a yes or no answer from you. Are you going to Equip Expo? He needs to know now.
Oh, man, that's tough. I don't. Oh, God.
I'll tell you what. If you decide you want to go, I'll pay for your ticket to get into the Equip. Since I don't, I can get you a ticket. So I'll get you a ticket.
I will tell you. I have every intention of going.
I think you should go one time, even if
I want to. No,
day.
Listen. I'll be honest with you. I had no fucking interest the years before. But I think you had told me or something that the heavy equipment does go on there. So I am kind of interested to go down and check some shit out. So I want to say yes, but shit change, things happen. So we'll see.
You would probably be a legend over in the hardscaping area. Like
Nobody knows me over there. Nobody knows me over
they'd be
there.
like, look at this guy. He's a big legend up in Massachusetts. See?
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, they would.
Oh god, nobody knows me, and I want to keep it that way.
They know you. Everybody knows you. Don't worry. But yeah, I think you should if you can. Just ask your wife. She probably says no. So,
She'd be coming with me if I go. Oh,
good. That'd be nice to meet her.
I'll
Yeah.
bring it with me. She wants to see all these fucking hillbillies down there and shit. So, cut your lawn. I'm gonna cut your lawn.
Yeah. JC says that's an unacceptable answer.
Listen, he's not even on the podcast today, so fucking kick rocks, dude.
Oh, sorry.
I'll be out there mowing his lawn, drinking a beer right now.
Probably. Okay, so okay, you said you're going to eventually expand on the mulch and dirt and all that stuff. Will you carry like stone into that in a couple years, and would you, if that goes better than let's say your landscaping and your hardscaping, would you push more for that?
I
Or would
thought
you try
about
to
this.
expand that?
So I have no plans of going full landscape supply. Not at all.
Okay.
The mulch, the only reason I'm doing the mulch as of right now this could change. I'm doing the mulch because we offer mulch installation services, right? And we still offer them to the people we sell the retail mulch to. But it's basically, one service complements the other. So I don't foresee myself selling retail aggregate or anything like that. In the past we have had like 3/4 and 3/8 chip stone. I might build a bigger bin for like 3/4 that we use a lot. And if someone had called for retail, possibly, but I'm not going to advertise it. I think that it would just we'd strictly stick to mulch, maybe like playground chips or something like that. And again, loam we'd have on site because we use it. So again, being able to retail it locally, it's not going to have a whole business surrounded by it, but we would sell it along with the mulch company.
Nice. So do you offer, like, if somebody calls in for the Batman Black, let's say, and they say, oh, I want 4 yards. Do you turn around and say, okay, I can give you a price for that, but also we do install it, so I can give you a price for installing too?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I make sure, just because a lot of people will assume, you give the price for $58 a yard. I've had people say, oh, that's dirt cheap. Like, can you price me 10 yards? And I go, yeah, sure. 10 yards, $650 or whatever, is just delivered and the mulch delivered.
Right.
If you want installation, it's X amount. We'll kind of give them a baseline of around like $60, $70 per yard. If the beds are right up front, beds after, and that's not prep, that's not weeding, that's not pre-emergent. That's just spreading the mulch, so that's $60 or $70 a yard. It's just for guys to show up and hand toss that stuff into the beds. You have to have them prepped, but we can price you for all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
We sold the guy 20 yards on Tuesday. We delivered it, and I given him a price somewhere around like a little over $1,000 to spread it. Again, this was sight unseen, and this was based off if the mulch was directly next to the pile. If we have to go up a hill or we're about too far, then we price accordingly. But he said, no, it's fine. I go to the delivery driver. I'm like, I bet you he's going to call him. Like, it's 20 yards is a lot of mulch to lay for a week in Warrior. Right. And sure as shit, he messages me the next day. He goes, hey, how much is that price again? I was like, yeah, I was like, I figured.
Right. I think a lot of people, when they get the stuff, they're more prone to go ahead and do it because they're like, okay, well, I can get it delivered and do it myself. And then you get there and they get the mulch delivered and they're like, wow, that's a lot, and like we just watched some guy, like we've been in a neighborhood for the last week and a half doing mulching all around this one guy, and he had gotten mulched the same time we did one right across from his house. We've done 7 mulch jobs and a rock job all in the same street. And literally he just finally got rid of that mulch, and it took him that long to do it. And, his yard is probably like a 5-yard mulch job. It wasn't that much mulch, but literally we're knocking out like, 2 4-yard jobs a day. One was a 6-yard job. He's seen us there every day, like knocking us out. So I wouldn't doubt that next year he'll be calling us because he's seen us out there for so long.
And that's what they're paying for, is the convenience of not having that mulch pile in the yard.
Right.
For mulch.
Right.
But and just to elaborate on this a little bit, this also feeds me. So one thing that I've always been big about was gathering contact information. And when someone messages me through Facebook Marketplace about mulch, I typically try to get their email address to send them like an official quote. I'll throw them a number. Say, hey, you want an official quote? Let me just get your email, put you in the system. What this allows me to do is when it gets slow or it comes down from marketing in February, is typically when I market for my landscaping. I just grew my contact list by, let's say, like 50 inquiries from mulch. So that gets me into like to the threshold of being like, hey, we can offer you maintenance services, hardscape services, in addition to delivering your mulch. So that also opens up the door for my advertising.
Oh yeah, I think it does. I think anytime you can get an email for somebody that's even inquiring on something, that's good to have some kind of system to put them in and to go back and market them as many times as you can, unless they say don't market me no more. Why not? I mean, I feel like, even though we're out there and you're doing jobs like, a lot of guys are saying too, is market the next people next to it. You never know the person next to it that, on either side of the house that might be looking for a job. So, definitely market out to them and, get them to, an estimate if you can. So,
and like anytime anybody's asking you for an estimate, always get the telephone number or the email address for just that reason. Like, again, on Jobber, one of the things I like with Jobber, and this isn't a push for Jobber or nothing, you could send the estimates and the invoices via text message, or email. So if you have that phone number and that email address, when it comes time for fall cleanups, maybe you quoted these people on spreading mulch or putting in some annual plants, and they said no, but now you have that phone number and that email address where you could send out the reminder at, hey, we're going to be in your area offering fall cleanup starting at X amount of dollars, respond yes for official estimate. And now you have that capability where, like, hey, if you send out 50 and you get one, it's worth your time if you're making a few $100 on that fall cleanup.
Right. I think it's always a good thing. And I know they're working on something right now, which is I think it's a trial thing with Jobber to where you can send out mass marketing pretty much like through their system, to where you can market, say, 10 of your customers that you want to send an email every month. You can go ahead and do that every month. And so
that was one thing that I was really turned off about with Jobber in the beginning, was that I thought I'd be able to email my entire contact sheet from them, but you had to merge that with MailChimp, which was a paid subscription, and I didn't like it. It was too involved. Even still, like, people might disagree with me. I think some of the price points for Jobber are a little high. But I mean, it's a decent software. But I mean, if they could do something where you could say, hey, I want to send out a general directly through their platform, not a third party. Let's say, hey, you want to send out a fucking text message to 50, 80 customers, just saying, hey, we're now selling arborvitaes, or, a discount on irrigation blowouts. And you can just hit a button and send it out to all of them. That'd be great.
Right. Yeah. And they were, integrated with MailChimp. But I think they've been sending it to me right now where they're trying it for 6 months. I think it's like $20 a month to where you can market and do mass marketing like MailChimp did.
Yeah. And that was horrible, because I think you had it wouldn't even transfer your contacts over. You had to do it manually. Like, I was pissed. I was like, this is stupid. And I think the whole reason why I upgraded the package was because it had that option and it wasn't worth it.
Right. I think now if they push that way, it can work out better. But like you said, I think even if you can, I know Gmail, there's a way through Gmail that you can put in a whole bunch of names and mass market it too. You just got to click and paste and all that other stuff. I mean, it takes a minute, but you can do that and put on it, only receipt to you. So instead of everybody else, or you just individual emails and, You know what? If you have a system to where you can individual email everybody, that still helps you anyway. Even like you said, if you have a whole bunch of names, go ahead and do it one at a time.
Listen, it
Target the people
sucks.
that you want.
If you don't have that CRM, put all the emails in the PDF, and each time you want to mark it, copy and paste them, and then blind carbon copy them on the email, and just have a generic. If you don't know how to type or you're illiterate, chat GBT. Hey, write me up an advertisement for aerating and overseeding, and you might have to make some edits to it, but it's fucking simple, man.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It's very simple. I think there's a lot there, and there's still a lot that everybody can learn from. And way technology is going, I mean, 2 years from now, it'll be a lot easier and a lot faster. So thank you for being on, Josh. Thank you all for watching and listening. Keep listening to us on Spotify. Watch us on Landscapes by Acme at YouTube. Give us a follow. Let us know any information or any comments you have on this episode. We'd be very interested to hear. Josh loves for you to go ahead and call him for some Batman Black mulch. He'll get it to you right away. So
Iron Man Red and Batman Black.
Yep, that's that. I think that's a nice name. I tell you that much. I think it stands out. I've heard Ultimate Black. I've heard Midnight Black. I've hit all them other ones, but Batman Black, dude, that just put us out there. So yeah. Now you got to come up with a name for your brown. So the hemlock.
I know.
Tell your wife right there. I tell her make up a good name for the hemlock. Okay.
I know. We got to think about that one.
Get it something spicy or something that people are gonna jump at like ASAP. So
and by like Hershey Brown or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but I mean, people might be like, I don't know if I want Hershey Brown.
I don't know. But there's no Avengers there have brown costumes. So
no, there is no Avengers that are brown
GC.
costumes. That's the hard part. You have to really think about that one. But
Count Chocula Brown.
Ooh, there you go. See, Count Chocula. See,
or you just call it Count Chocula.
Right. See, we used to buy one that was actually like a purplish color, and they called it dark chocolate brown. I don't know why, but it was like a purplish color. I don't know where they got this color from, but
I can't do it. That's what they call Jensen that.
There you go, Jensen. Remember this. So, well, thank you, everybody. It's been a good week this week. Go out and crush it this week. Visit our sponsors, Cujo, if you want a pair of shoes or pants or jacket or hat. Thank you, guys, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Josh. It was a great talk today.